Hey everyone, and welcome to Kandy's Quarantine Conversations with me, Kandy Delore. Joining me today is Caren Duhig. She is a domestic violence survivor, a community activist. She's also a creative writing master's degree student, and she is the writer of Seize a Survival. Hi, Caren.
Hiya.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
I thought that it would be super important to speak to a woman such as yourself, especially as, what many of us are going through with lockdown and, women who are in abusive situations with their partners. Your story is so important to share, and I'm sure that many women who are in those unfortunate circumstances would appreciate hearing from someone such as yourself. And you came to the women's event that I had and you spoke there, and you were so wonderful, and your story left many people with their jaws on the floors. Literally, you have overcome so much and you are an inspiration. And I thought that it would be really amazing if you could share your story on Kandy's Quarantine Conversations and give hope to women who need it right now.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be lovely. Thank you. And thank you for the warm welcome too. My story it's part of a collection of stories by Bruno students. It's in Letters to My Younger Self. And do you want me to go ahead and read it?
Oh, that would be amazing. Please do.
Cool. Okay. It's not too long, but hopefully by reading this, we can empower those that are going through domestic violence and send a message out that it's not okay, and that whatever you do, seek help, seek support, or confide in someone. But I'll read my story and see what you think. Okay?
Thank you.
If I could give my younger self one bit of advice, it would be to run away as far and as fast as I could the minute my partner started to show an inkling of abusive behaviour towards me. I wonder how different my life would have been if I had made that decision back then. It was the 27th of February 2004, 16 years ago. I was 20 years old, studying my degree at Bruno University and enjoying being young. But I was dating a guy who had seen a bit more of life than I had. 12 years older than me, he took advantage of the fact that I was young and naive, used me as his sexual plaything whenever he felt like it, slapped me whenever I disagreed or questioned him. I'd had enough and wanted to be young and enjoy my partying years, as you do when you're at uni. Having only started uni a few months earlier, I saw that there was a lot more to life and I wanted to live it. So sitting with him in a bar in the city that night, Barbican I think it was, sipping my vodka and orange, I saw him for who he was in his drunken state. He'd already had several drinks, loads, at an Old Bailey event where he works as a head chef. I was a food service assistant. That's how I met him. He was full of himself, though, righteous and arrogant. I remember engaging in an activity that I didn't want in the pub toilet, so I don't remember much more of that night after that, only what I was told. He told the police we were arguing. I tried to run away. I had bruises on my shoulders where he must have grabbed me. Apparently, we were on a dark, disused road. He said he put his foot out and tripped me. I landed on the side of my head. He said that from my fall, I'm like 5'2", but from my fall, I gave myself a blood clot in between my brain and my skull on this side, an extradural hematoma. I would have lost consciousness temporarily. He would have had to have waited for me to come back round, regain consciousness. He was taking me to St Paul's Station on the Central Line so that I could get back home to my mum's in Stratford, a 20-minute journey on the Central Line. If I had have got on the train by myself as he'd intended, I wouldn't be writing this now. Somehow, a random police car drove by and saw me behaving erratically. I had a lump on my head where the blood clot was developing. The police took me to Snow Hill Police Station in St Paul's, but I don't understand why they let him go if they could see that I was upset and hurt, possibly by him. The police told me that I started to make a statement, so I don't know if I was making a statement about him or if he said something about me. That's the questions that I've been asking myself lately. Like, why would I make a statement? They've never told me, you know. But then I passed out unconscious. They must have realised something was very, very wrong because I was taken to the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel immediately. I was dying. When I woke up from the chemical-induced coma 4 weeks later, I didn't have a clue who or where I was. All I could remember was the dreams I had while I was sleeping. That thing they say about the tunnel is true. Wearing my white gown, hospital gown thing, I was alone on a train cascading at high speed through the Channel Tunnel to France. Because back then, I don't think the Channel Tunnel had been direct. We didn't have USO or anything like that. It was just, you know, but it must have been in my head. You dream about it. The train crashed, and suddenly my mum was there, and we were washed up on a beach. I can still vividly remember that dream now. It's so real in my head. I must have looked horrific. Half of my permed hair was missing on the left side, where the surgeons had shaved my head to perform the craniotomy. I had a huge scar from the front of my ear circling round to the back of my temple. I had staples in my head where my skull must have been put back together. I've learned that surgeons use a bit of titanium to replace the bone flap, which is why my head set off metal detectors in courts and airports years later. My skull has a deep dent in it, which I can still feel to this day, right there. Um, I've suffered with epilepsy for the past 16 years as a result of the head trauma too. The case went to Suffolk Crown Court on the 4th of December 2004. The charge was reduced from attempted murder to GBH, but he made a plea bargain, guilty of ABH. He was sentenced to 200 hours community service. For the injury to have been that severe, I either hit a very blunt object when I fell, which he didn't mention to the police, or while I was on the ground, he inflicted an injury upon me. That's even if I fell. There was only me and him there that night on the 27th of February 2004, and I've heard through social media that he took his own life 3 years ago. I'll never actually know what happened, but I've also heard that those that are abusers, you know, they do sometimes take their own lives. But so, if I could give my younger self or anyone who is in an abusive relationship one bit of advice, it would be to get out as soon as you can. Seek advice, seek support, confide in someone. You don't deserve to be hurt. You don't deserve to be hit. You don't deserve to be bullied, abused, made to think you're nothing. It's not your fault. There's something very wrong with the person who's abusing you. I was so lucky to survive something so traumatic. I want to use my experiences, my scars, and my unanswered questions to help anyone who's been in or is in a relationship that involves domestic violence. My message to you is please don't try to destroy you.
Oh, Caren, that's absolutely breathtaking. That is an emotional story that you've written there, and I can't imagine the things that you have been through and all that it's taken from you to overcome what's happened to you. I mean, that is a very, very deep story, you know, to the point of being attacked and having titanium placed in your head and then having to watch this man only get 200 hours of community service after what he did to you. And, you know, I'm sure that you will have those memories for life. But at the same time, I'm also aware that you have used what's happened to you to create things like Fix It, Harrow, and you help so many people in the community. You are literally a shining star. You really are. And, you know, that must have taken a lot of strength to move on and then build something that, you know, is such a big platform and helps thousands of people in the borough. And, you know, to stay continuous with it and not allow anything to get in your way. You also attend university, you have a job, you have a beautiful daughter, you are living your life, and that takes guts to go on. You know, you could have easily fallen into a 24-hour state of depression and anxiety, but instead you have used that traumatic experience to motivate you to keep going, and you are inspiring so many women with your story. I mean, what how did it feel like when you read over what you'd written at first?
I think I wrote it about just over a year ago, um, because it didn't end back then, 16 years ago, because I went through the trauma of the physiotherapy, of rebuilding who I was, of getting myself back at university. But there's a pattern in behaviours. It's just, there's something in me. Because after that relationship, I got into another relationship, which also involved domestic violence for about 10 years, you know. Yeah, so
Did you
it,
ever receive any support from like a counsellor or a therapist to help
I've,
you?
I've sought cognitive behavioural therapy in the past, how I act, if you know them, just to try and understand why it is that I fall prey to these sort of relationships. That because it's like I see something in people that I want to help, and regardless of what they do to me, I'm like, that's fine. It wasn't. It was. You sort of fall into that trap of thinking it's always your fault, and maybe you could do more to help. But then I think it was a relationship well, that one was that relationship, and then I met this other guy, God, 2.5 years ago, and he was, because I've been on my own for a very long time when I met him. My daughter was 11 years old, and I met him, and it wasn't the physical abuse, it was emotional abuse this time. And I think that I'd grown that much in myself that I could understand what it was that he was doing. I could understand the manipulation. I could understand why he was doing it. And the thing that I did to prove to myself, not just to prove to myself, but maybe it was to prove to myself, but I got out of it. I got away, and I held him and the people that he was involved with, which were trying to cause me drama and cause me trouble. I held them to account, and the partner that he got with, she started to stalk me and my child, and I'm like, God, how am I meeting these people, honestly? But I use what I knew from past relationships to combat that, because I knew that she worked in the hospital and she knew far too much about my life, and I thought, how do you know so much? So I used my own intelligence, and I contacted pals at the hospital that she worked at, and they went through her search history, and they found my name and my daughter's name on her search history, and I held them to account, and they left me alone. I haven't heard from them since I got out of where it was and I started again with my daughter somewhere else. I can recognise when things are, and I won't chase after it. I won't allow myself to fall prey to it again. I won't fall into that pattern of manipulative and abusive behaviour. So that's why I wrote this story last year, because it was like 6 months after the last ordeal, and I felt stronger writing it, because I thought to myself, I've overcome all of this, and I need to keep overcoming it, and I can never go back there again. I can never let myself fall back to being the person I was 16 years ago, because I've got a little girl that I need to show that that's not the right way. I've got a daughter that I need to show her that that's how you don't allow yourself to be treated. You make a stand. You're a woman. You focus on yourself. You
Yeah,
focus on your career, your dreams, your aspirations, and she's a big part of Fix It as well.
yeah, yes.
Because she loves being involved in what I do, and I hope that she does follow on from me and take all the mistakes that I made in the past. I hope that she realizes they are mistakes, and she doesn't make the same mistake, because maybe that I hope that I can help other people and empower them and overcome difficult situations. But the most important person that I want to empower is my daughter, and so
Right.
that she'll carry on my legacy, if you can call it that. So yeah,
Yeah.
so
No, I
yeah.
totally understand that. I mean, that must have been really scary for you to see that your ex-partner's new partner was searching, through you and your daughter's medical health records. I mean,
I reported it to PALS, and they passed on the case to the Information Commissioner's Office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know the outcome of what happened to her? Was she fired for doing that?
For data protection reasons, they couldn't tell me exactly what happened. She either resigned or she was her employment was terminated. So,
that must have felt really terrifying for you at the time.
I contacted the police. The police, she's older than me, and I don't know what sort of story she gave them, but I'm a single parent. I don't have a lot of finance. I don't have my own home. I'm private renting. I'm in receipt of benefits, even though I'm working because I can't afford full rent by myself. And I don't know what she told the police about me, but they didn't take my reports of her stalking me seriously until I called them and I said to them, reported that to them, and they left me alone completely as well because they saw it for what it was, and she was stalking me and my child. The worst thing was stalking me. I'll understand you're a vengeful ex or whatever, that's fine, but not my 12-year-old daughter. You don't do that to children.
Yes. That is absolutely absurd. I don't think I've ever heard anything like that. I mean, wow, she must have had some kind of obsession with you. I'd love to know what your ex said to her to make her behave in that way. It's really sad when...
But he was a manipulator as well, though. Okay. He was a manipulator, and she obviously believed whatever he said. Whereas me, he couldn't manipulate me because I've seen it all before. So this is where we differentiate. And I've been to CBT therapy to try and understand it and I do understand. I was angry at first. I was hurt. I was terrified, and I was like, this is my child. But I can sort of, as much as I hate to say it, I hate it, but I can understand what he did to her because I've been through it myself before.
You've been there.
Yeah. I hate saying it though, honestly, but I can understand that because I understand how women can fall into these relationships and the effects it can have on them.
Yes. You do sound like you're a bit of an empath. You're very understanding and caring of others' feelings, and you take people's situations into account. So do you think that maybe that might have something to do that people taking your kindness for your weakness in relationships?
I've heard that several times. I've heard that a lot. Possibly, yeah. The thing is, sometimes I can see what's happening, but I choose to ignore it, and
you hope for the best, don't you? You see the patterns and then you think, oh no, I don't want to judge people, so you probably...
That's what we all do though, probably, isn't it? We see something, we think, maybe it's not. Do you know what I mean? It's like you choose to see the best in people because why wouldn't you?
I think it's called ignoring the red flags, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think many women are guilty of doing that.
Definitely. And I think that things are harder. Things are hard at the moment because we're in lockdown and we can't get out anywhere. So we want that connection to someone. We want to feel like we're not alone. And I mean, I think the main thing that's keeping us all going at the moment is social media. We're sharing our thoughts on what's happening. Thank God we've got social media. If this was 15 years ago, I had a 3310 with like 300 minutes. And,
those are the kind of what 3310 is.
But yeah, so yeah.
So do you think that men who are abusive have a story behind why they treat women this way, whether it's something to do with their own relationships with their mothers or their absence of fathers, or just, do you think that there's something in their past that causes them to behave like this?
Possibly, yeah, because the people that I know who were abusive, one of my exes, he grew up with a violent father that was always cheating on his mother, and and he saw him hit her. So I think there's a strong possibility that it's learned behaviour, that it's the result of something that's happened to them in the past, But the thing is, I felt it's difficult to understand why I'm like the way I am, because you know, I've seen abuse, I've seen hurt, I've seen things like that, but I still continue to be as giving and as caring as I can. Perhaps it's different for women, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know.
Oh, I do understand. It's a tough line to be in between because you just want to help people. So I could totally relate to when you said, you saw faults in them and then you thought you could try to help them, but really it's known as trying to fix broken people, trying to fix people who are damaged, and only they can fix themselves, only they can seek the support that they need to, get that done. And as a woman, I think it's just natural, especially as a mother, to try to care for people, and try to lift them up and stuff. But it just drains you in the end, unfortunately. But, it's a good thing that you were strong enough to encounter all that you did, and then to be able to still move on and to build, a platform where you help others who actually appreciate you. Because I know that much of what you do for Fix It Harrow is appreciated by the residents in the community, and myself included. I appreciate you and all the work that you do. I look at you as a strong woman. I look at you as somebody who is very inspirational and someone who is most definitely needed in the community, not just to help with issues such as Fix It, problems that people have in the community, but people can approach you for advice. And yes, it's true. You're quite an all-rounded, you're a all-rounded woman. And I do definitely respect that about you. I mean, you have a degree as well, don't you? And you're still learning at the moment too, isn't it?
A BA on 2-1 in English and film and TV.
Really?
And I'm currently doing a master's degree in creative writing.
Really?
But it's tough at the moment because I'm working sort of as well, 22.5 hours. I don't know if that counts as full-time or part-time. But my daughter's also doing the remote learning from home because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle at the moment because I'm doing night work. And so I come home and I want to sleep, but then on my days off I want to spend time with her and do the shopping and pay the bills and do this and do that. And currently at the moment I'm waiting to see the effect that my work will have on universal credit.
Okay.
And see whether or not they take all of my wages off my universal credit. Because if they do that, then that sort of defies the whole incentive for people to go back to work if they're on a loan income.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wait and see what happens, and if they do, I will raise a point about it on my forum. Because
you definitely should.
Single parents or anybody, people need an incentive to go back to work to do something with their lives,
Yeah.
As a single parent, I don't get any support whatsoever from my daughter's father. I haven't for many years. So it's always been me bringing her up and providing for her, keeping a roof over her heads, and I'll see what happens. I'll see what happens.
I understand that. Oh, well, I do wish you every success in that area. All I do know is that you are definitely a determined woman, so I'm sure that you'll keep going and you will come to a resolution with that issue.
So
you have turned your ways of trying to fix broken people and helping them into fixing the community as a whole, so you've managed to use your kindness and share it with people who actually appreciate you and who deserve it. So what would you recommend women who, are in a place where you once were, trying to help damaged men, for example, turn that into something a bit more positive where they can be appreciated?
I think they just need to focus on themselves and focus on what they have to offer through different channels rather than through someone who doesn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've always loved fixing people. It's just something, but I thought to myself, there's I can channel my energies in something else. The reason that I made Fix It, I'll tell you actually. I made it nearly 4 years ago. We were living above a shop in Harrow World on the high street, and we had to access an alleyway to get into our service road to go above the shop. the alleyway, the council couldn't decide whether it was private land or public land, even though people walk through it all the time. The service road, I know, was private because it's a service road behind shops. But the business beneath us were very unkind and unhelpful. And we had dead rats in the alley. We had human feces and toilet paper. We had like needles, drug paraphernalia, or crack bottles. We had people sitting in the alleyway, just with their mates, sharing a bit of foil around. You know, we had women performing sexual activities on men there. You know, my daughter used to say to me, "Mummy, what is that lady doing?" You know, and things like that. I mentioned it to my landlord. I mentioned it to the business beneath me. They weren't interested. Um, I kept reporting it to the council over and over again, but you know the police were aware of it as well. But no one was doing anything, and I think that the thing that served me interaction was that, oh, when was it? It was October, November 2016, and I was on my own with my daughter trying to fight against all these things and everything. And I fell into rent arrears because I'm on housing benefit. I don't think I was working back then. And my landlord, he's a 65-year-old man, and we had a conversation about renewing my tenancy because I moved in 2015, and so my new tenancy was up for renewal October, November 2016. And my landlord, my 65-year-old landlord, a respectable man in the community, he said that I've fallen into rent arrears. And I said to him that I'll do anything to pay that money back. I don't want to leave the flat because it's hard to find a property when you're in receipt of housing benefit because landlords won't pick you. They're like, oh God, housing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
sorry. And the landlord said to me, if I were to bend over for him, he would forget my rent arrears.
Wow.
That's why I made Fix It in 2016, December, because it was also a coping mechanism. And he would knock on my door late at night. He would send me lewd messages, a 65-year-old man. And that's why I made Fix It in December 2016, because I needed to find a coping mechanism because I knew I couldn't leave. I just signed a tenancy. I couldn't go anywhere else. You know, no one else is going to take housing benefit. I reported it to the police. The police said there's no concrete evidence there. I reported it to the council. I had a few supporting me, but there was nothing they could do. You know, and that's what he said to me. And I reported it to the business beneath me because they're business partners with my landlord. And they said to me, I've got it in a letter, they said that my landlord can't remember the details. He can't remember what he said, but he apologises sincerely if he did say anything which was possibly taken out of context.
My goodness.
I need to fix it. It was a coping mechanism as well. It's a coping mechanism. It just kept me going because I thought no one's listening to me. My landlord wants me to do sexual favours, bend over for him, yet to forget that I've got rent arrears. You know, I've seen it. It's been brought up on the news on documentaries several times about landlords taking sexual favours in exchange for rent. I've seen it. You know?
Yeah, and they're clearly going after the vulnerable tenants. You know, people like yourself who they know are single mothers who might not have partners to protect them and help them. Desperate people who are in rent arrears. That is absolutely disgusting, and I think people like that should have jail time, if I'm honest, because you know they ruin people's confidence, they ruin their self-esteem, they ruin what people think about themselves because you start to doubt your own worth and think, well, is this what I'm worth? You know, it's really bad.
I was standing there shaking, wondering how far he would go, you know, or if he'd force me to do it, or that's how bad it was. I was standing there trembling, wondering. It was just me and him alone in the flat, and unfortunately, I didn't record it. I should have recorded it because that would have bloody held some weight. I didn't record it though, but I was standing there trembling, wondering how far he would actually go with his request. 2016. That's why I made Fix It December 2016.
I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. That's absolutely terrible. And you know, you should have definitely received some support with that.
Please don't do anything again. You know, and it feels like this is I report things, and it's like I needed to make a difference because I saw how easily people would get brushed aside. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, and I can't allow people, myself or anyone else, to go, because it's soul destroying. I've got a man twice my age, older than my dad, asking me if I want to do sexual favours for rent arrears. I've got no one believing what I've said. You know, I've got him literally admit it, not in so many words though. He's been very
Yeah.
clever about it in a
Yeah.
letter, and I've still got that letter. And
That is, I think, I don't know how you keep going, to be honest.
I've
I don't know how
got no idea.
you are a very strong woman. You have
Thank
been through
you.
so much, and I really do hope that you find someone who you can settle down with and feel safe with and secure with. I won't go into your personal life or ask you if you're in a relationship or not. But if you are, I wish you the best. If you're
Thank
not,
you.
I wish you somebody who will make you forget the past ever happened and not care about your past, and just help you plan for an amazing future, because you definitely deserve that. What are some of the ways that women can remove themselves from toxic relationships, especially if they're scared?
Seek support, seek help. As I said in my story, open up to someone in confidential. I know that there's a new there's an app called Hestia. If you've heard of it,
So what's it called?
Hestia, Hestia,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it's an app, and it doesn't show up on your phone as a domestic violence app. But I'm sure it's called, Google it. It's Hestia. It's quite a large organisation. I've also been working with the New Harrow Women's Centre as well.
Yes.
I'm trying to raise awareness from them. I think
Brilliant.
Carolina, if you know her as well.
No, I don't.
We've been trying to do the Zoom calls, but I can't get Zoom on my phone. And I'm going to work in between the calls, and it's not working at the moment, but I will try to download it on a laptop as well.
Yeah.
Now that I've managed to download Skype on here, I'm amazed. Well, wow. A bit of help from my daughter, and I can normally do things. She's so much more technology advanced than I am, honestly.
Yes, I
I've no
saw her
idea.
coming along to help you.
Yeah. She knows exactly what she's doing. And I'm like, okay, so, but yeah, reach out, ask for help, seek support, advice. There's so much out there these days. I know that some people be reluctant to seek help, because I was. So I didn't want help. I just wanted to deal with it and make it better myself, because I thought I was capable of that. I didn't see until it got really bad. Then I saw that I'm, I'm gonna. I had to sort it out and get out of it. So yeah.
I mean, for women who might be in abusive relationships during lockdown, what are some of the ways that you think they can protect themselves and get out of there if they need to?
They need to talk. They need to talk to someone. There's so much available online now. Whenever you get a minute to yourself or quiet, just go somewhere. Download the Hestia app. Just seek support. But the thing is, you've got to want to do it. That's the thing. You've got to want to seek help before it is too late.
What would you say to women whose fears are bigger than, them actually being able to have the courage to leave? They're just terrified. What should they do?
First of all, they need to recognise that it's wrong. It can't carry on like that. It takes a lot for you to realise this isn't right. It takes a lot. You can't, unless it gets violent, unless you're battered to pieces. You can see the signs building up, and it starts off with emotional abuse and put down and things like that, and it develops from there. And you need to recognise those signs first of all before it does develop any further. But in regards to violence and things like that, I would tell someone, make someone aware of it. Don't go through it on your own, because it's not going to get any better. They might say, "Oh, never again," or "That'll be the last." They won't. They will do it again, because that old saying, "A leopard don't change its spots." It doesn't. They're just the same sort of people. They just disguise it and hide better eyes.
Unfortunately, I definitely agree with that. A leopard does not change its spots. They're very good at disguising change. And
Because one relationship I remember, God, yeah, I've got a few. But this guy he was violent all the time. I think I was like 15 at the time, something like that. And he was violent. He was nasty. You know, there were times when I've got a scar still there, where he split my in a play fight. It started off as play fight, and he split my lip, and they had to stitch it back together because my tooth went right through it, and it's just a scar down there. And I didn't recognise signs because I was young. He left me eventually, but then he went on to his next partner, and his next partner after that, and they got broken noses. They got other things happened to them, and
so would you say that there's definitely a pattern to this abusive behaviour within men who treat women like that?
of course, they don't change from one relationship to the other.
Mm-hmm.
They might channel it differently in their abuse, but it's abuse, whether it's emotional, whether it's mental, whether it's physical. They will channel their abuse through different ways because it's something in them. It's something innate inside them that manifests itself in a relationship. You know, so
I definitely agree there. So, with your education and things that you're doing with Fix It, is there anything that we can look out for you that will be happening once lockdown is lifted? Any events, any talks at any events that you've got planned?
I'm hoping to do more inspirational speeches like this, to read out my story, to help survivors, to help sufferers, to empower people. Last year I did several talks with my story. I spoke at a domestic abuse seminar at Scotland Yard in April last year, with other organisations and bodies as well who've dealt with domestic violence, to try and raise awareness of what was going on and talk about the structures that the police had in place.
Okay. And that's very important, actually.
Yeah. So, and I'm hoping to do more things like that, and hopefully if I can download Zoom on the laptop or find some way to do it across that. I do everything on Messenger and WhatsApp now. I don't, so I need to get these things and then try to get involved with more things like this. It's difficult at the moment with work going on with my daughter, with girls, with this, with that. You know, it's difficult to find the time, but I will find the time, and I will make it my mission to do more to help people, to empower people who I can relate to.
No, that is super. Even when you spoke at the International Women's Day event that I hosted, you were amazing. So many people asked me about you afterwards. They said, "Oh my gosh, that woman is so strong," and you really are. Honestly, you are an inspiration to many, and I do hope that your writing, it is used to help people, and I think it should definitely be shared right now across social media platforms. Your story should be heard because you will encourage so many more women to speak out. And that is exactly what needs to happen for women who are in these unfortunate circumstances. They need to speak out so that they can get the correct support. And yes, I do hope that people watch your video or watch this interview, and that they can also reach out to you if they need any guidance or advice. How can people find you on social media, please, Caren?
I'm on Facebook. I've got a group with nearly 5k members. It's called Fix It Harrow Network. It's #FixIt, FIXIT, Harrow Network. We're also on Twitter as well, at Fix It Harrow, I think is my follow.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much, Caren. It's been an inspirational conversation. You are an amazing woman. You are so strong. Please keep going. Please keep speaking out, and please keep helping others.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. If you're in an abusive relationship and aren't sure where to turn, contact the National Domestic Abuse Helpline 24 hours a day on 0808 2000 247. You can even chat to them live on refuge.org.uk. However, if you are in an emergency situation, please dial 999.